In my recent videos on how to avoid research rabbit holes that keep you from your genealogy goals, I mentioned that I use Evernote. And one of the biggest ways I use it is to capture BSOs, or bright, shiny objects. And those are the things that are kind of interesting. They pop up while you're doing your research, but you're not really working on that at the moment. Well, I use it for a lot of other things for genealogy as well. So today in this video, I'm going to explain what Evernote is, how to get started using it, and specifically how I'm doing that a bit for genealogy. I'm Louise Cooke, and this is Elevenses with Lisa. We get together every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Central with our favorite cuppa and talk with our favorite people in the live chat, because we do this live about our favorite subject, which is genealogy. So let's jump into how to use Evernote for genealogy. Okay, so you might have used Evernote before, and I have seen some people in the chat already say, well, I've got Evernote, I've been using it, but I don't use it consistently, or I'm not, sure what to do with it. And I totally get that, because it took me quite a while to finally kind of get on board. And this was back in 2007 when Evernote kind of first came on the scene. And what I found was that you kind of have to take what I call the 7-day challenge, which is for 7 days, you put down all the sticky notes and all the paper tablets and Word documents, and you just try and use Evernote. And it's the best way to really quickly learn how it works and how to navigate your way around. If you want to get started with it, we do have a link, and this is an affiliate link, so it does help support this free show. We certainly appreciate you using it. It's in the show notes as well as in the video description down below. So let's clear up some of the mystery on what this program is, what it can do for you. So what is Evernote? Well, it's a cloud-based note-taking service or application. And what that can do is it basically can capture everything, any kind of stuff that you're working on. And for us in genealogy, that's just about everything, right? That's websites and interviews and photographs and videos and all kinds of things. And the beauty of Evernote is it lets you capture any kind of note, but also to access it anywhere, and really from any device that you're using. And these days, of course, we're doing genealogy research on all kinds of devices. We're doing it on the library computer, at the family search computer, at our own phone, on our desktop, on our laptop, all kinds of places. And most importantly, Evernote will help you find your stuff really fast. If you've ever saved stuff to your hard drive or to your phone, and then you have to just scroll and scroll and scroll and try to find what you were looking for, hope that you tagged it right or put some kind of information on it, it can be a challenge. I use Evernote for my really active research. It's not an archival place. And I think next week in my next video, I'm going to talk really specifically about my whole data flow, which includes Evernote. Because the more I worked on this for today's show, the more I realized, oh my gosh, there's so much more here. So I really want to introduce you to the program, help you understand it. And then next week, we're going to really talk about how it fits into the data flow specifically with genealogy research. But as you can imagine, finding stuff fast is really important when it comes to your family history research. And it's not any good to you if you can't find it. So that's the beauty of what Evernote can do for you. So it is a website. Okay, so first and foremost, you don't have to be on your own computer. You could go on anybody's computer and go to the Evernote website, log in, and you would be looking at your stuff. So it's a website. It's also software that you put on your computer. So they have a free download, and yes, it's available both for Windows and Mac. And I really prefer the software. If I'm going to work on Evernote, my number one place that I would want to work on it is on my computer with the nice big screen and my software program. You can use it on their website. It's not going to respond quite as quickly. You can use it on your phone. It's going to look a little different. You've got a limited small screen, which is not my favorite place to do genealogy. So wherever you're going to work, it's going to work for you. But we're going to focus today on the software on your computer, because I think in general, that's where we're doing a lot of our research. And of course, as I mentioned, it's available on mobile, and there again, both on Android and on Apple. So it's going to meet your needs no matter what kind of devices that you're using. It also is a web clipper, and that's a little distinct application part of Evernote because it is an application found in your web browser store. So if you're using Chrome or you're using Firefox, you're going to go to their web store and you're going to search for Evernote and download the web clipper and attach it to your browser so it's always there as a tool for you to work with Evernote. Okay, well, before we're going to invest any time in all that, we better know what the benefits are, right? It's got to pay off, and it's going to pay off in a lot of different ways. It can create all different types of notes, and we'll talk about lots of different specific types in a minute. But I pretty much haven't found anything that I would want to capture for genealogy that I couldn't do with Evernote. It also, again, works across all your devices, and that's because it's cloud-based. So in a sense, whatever you're doing on your computer goes up through the internet connection to the cloud, and therefore it can rain down on all your other devices. So it can synchronize across all the devices that you have. It's got that web clipping, so we're going to use the web clipper, and that's what's going to let you grab and make notes out of whatever you're finding on your screen. And it's not just websites. It really is anything that's appearing on your screen could be captured. So that's really helpful if you want to show a certain part of your file management, or if you want to grab a picture of something that you know if you try to download it, it might not be big enough and you just want to zoom in. It's going to give you flexibility to be able to capture what's ever showing up on your screen. It also has OCR technology. That's optical character recognition. And what that does is, I like to call it the special pixie dust that they just sprinkle over images, and whatever text appears on those images becomes keyword searchable, as if each word had been typed individually onto that image. So as you know, if you save an image like a newspaper article, it's not searchable on your computer unless you have a special program that can apply OCR and do that. Well, that's what Evernote does. It applies OCR. So when I take a web clipping, I'm making a picture, an image. And if that includes text, Evernote can read it. And that's what's so amazing about it. And the data is automatically included with the note. There is data that kind of attaches itself to it. Most importantly, how about when you're web clipping the URL of the web page where you got the information? Sometimes, we like to think that we're going to include that with everything and do a wonderful source citation. Sometimes we get busy or it gets, going fast and we forget. Evernote's going to automatically attach that URL. It's also going to put a date on there so you know when you did it. So that's kind of nice that it's kind of got your back in terms of citing some of the information about where you got something. Of course, you're in genealogy research still going to want to include more specific source citation information on each note, but it's nice to know that it's got the basics. And there's no total storage limit. A lot of people get a little confused about, well, what's my limit in total? And there really isn't one. The limit comes at the monthly level in terms of how much you're creating. So every time you make a note, every time you drop something into Evernote, that has bytes, megabytes, gigabytes, however big it is. And if it's a picture, it might be 5 megabytes or 20 megabytes or whatever. That's going to go towards your monthly storage. You're going to have, with the basic free plan, a certain amount, and then it can go all the way up to 20 gigs. So it'd be really nearly impossible to max it out if you've got a subscription. But best of all, you can use it without a subscription. You can do just the free version. And that really gives you a chance to try it, get used to it, figure out your system and if it's going to work for you. Evernote isn't necessarily for everybody, but I think it's such a widespread tool within the genealogy community, and it's got so many features that we can benefit from. It's worth talking about. So if you want all the bells and whistles, things like OCR, then you're going to want to upgrade. And again, we have a special link. What I would recommend, my friends, particularly for those of you watching live and who will be watching in the next couple of weeks, I'm filming this in September of 2021. My understanding is there's a sale floating around, and what I would suggest is that you sign up for the free version. And I think you'll probably get prompted for that potential sale price. So try that out. If not, it's still super affordable, particularly if you go for a yearly plan. So the personal plan is all you need. They've got business and personal. Let's look at that. So the free version gives you 60 megabytes a month of uploads. Don't put a bunch of pictures in there if you want to just use the free version, because a picture is a lot bigger than, let's say, a typed note. Web clippings are going to be smaller, but you have to keep that in mind. It's going to be limited use. So maybe you're just going to focus on, you're doing some newspaper research. Let's just web clip newspapers and see how it goes. You can also, for the free version, just use it on 2 devices. So maybe that's your computer and your phone. If you upgrade premium, and I think they're calling it personal right now, is kind of the individual subscription upgrade, that is 10 gigabytes per month upload. So that's a lot. You're going to be fine putting in there whatever you need to put in there. And if you do it on a monthly basis, it's around $8 a month. If you buy it monthly, a monthly price, but you pay for a year at a time, then the price goes down. So that's worth doing. That's why the free trial is great. Use the free version, see if you like it. If you do, then it'd be a much better savings to just buy a year's worth and go for there. And that's going to give you all those other bells and whistles, the OCR, PDFs, searching within PDFs, unlimited devices that you can use. It's terrific. There is a business version. Unless you really, really, really want to use this for your business, don't bother with it. You don't need it. You just need the personal version. So check that out at the link, again, that's down in the video description and also on our show notes page. Where are show notes? Show notes are at genealogygems.com. Under Elevenses in the menu, that's where you'll find it. This is episode number 70. Okay, so let's get you started using Evernote. And we are going to sign up for that basic account. Now, if you already have an account or whatever, great, you can use that. If you really feel like I want to just go all in, go ahead and get the personal, but you can get a basic account. Download and install the Evernote software. And as soon as you get your account set up, it's going to prompt you to do that. So that's pretty easy. If it doesn't for some reason, you can always just go Google it, download the software. The good thing is their website will detect, oh, you're on a Windows or you're on Mac, and it's going to give you the option for the one that you need. What I noticed was I had an old version of Evernote, and it wasn't showing me all the new features. And so I ended up, and I checked under About and Help, is it time to upgrade? Is there another version? It kept saying, no, you're good to go. Well, I was only in the 6th version. So check yours. And if it's not saying, yeah, there's newer versions available, which are in the 10s right now as we record, then I uninstalled Evernote. That doesn't change a thing about what I already had on Evernote because it's in the cloud. So I uninstalled it, went back, reinstalled a fresh version, got the 10 version, and of course, when I signed in my account, all my stuff was there. So that's what I would recommend. You might need to reinstall if you have a much older version. And then before you're done, go to your browser and go to the web store. If you're in, let's say you're in Chrome, you're not sure where that is, you can find it through your menu in your browser, but just go to Google and type in Chrome Web Store, and it'll get you there. You can search for Evernote and install the little web clipper. You're going to need that. And then pick up your phone, your tablet, go to your app store, download Evernote there as well. Okay, so we're focusing on the software today because I think that's where most of us are going to be doing our genealogy research. And the newest thing in the new version of Evernote is Home. And don't let this freak you out too much because it just adds a layer. It really hasn't changed the whole kit and caboodle. It's just added one little layer that looks a bit like your desktop. Think of it like you're working on your desk, right? So when you click on home, and if you don't see it looking like this when you go into your Evernote, it might be that you're in Notes view. Look in the left-hand column, click Home, and then you will see this version, which has widgets on it. And this just kind of gives you nice little overviews of things that are happening within your Evernote ecosphere, okay? Is that a word, ecosphere? Here I've got notes. So this would be a little widget showing me all my notes. Again, it's in most recent mode. I could also have suggested where Evernote's saying, well, I see you're working on this kind of stuff a lot. Maybe these notes will be helpful to you. I tend to keep it in recents. Down below, I've got a scratch pad if you just want to make a couple little quick things or to-dos or just stuff to be right on the face of things. And then recently captured. So this is cataloging specifically what have you been web clipping lately. And those will be listed there. One of the fun things to do with this new home overlay, if you will, is to customize it. So up in the right-hand corner, we're going to click Customize, and you can change the background. Doesn't make a huge difference in the scheme of things, but it makes you happy if you put a picture that you enjoy. They've got several default pictures that you can choose from, or you can upload your own. And that can just be a little bit of inspiration in the background. It reminds me a little bit of iGoogle. If you have followed me for a long time, like since the beginning back in 2007, you remember I used to talk all the time about iGoogle. You could customize the Google homepage. Well, this is very similar in terms of widgets and having a background. So I like that. I threw some of my family history photo collage in the background to inspire me in Evernote. Also in home view, when I'm in Customize, I'm still in Customize mode, notice that I've got more of widgets available to me over on the right-hand side. So take a look through those. You can add your calendar. If you're on Google Calendar, you can connect that. You can add filtered notes. So this would be filtering with certain criteria that you're using a lot. And this works great if you're working on a genealogy research plan and you want a certain family and certain types of records and you're going back to them all the time. Filter it, and then you can have one-click access. And there's also notebooks. You can pin notes that you want kind of always stuck to the front home page. There's extra scratch pads if you want them. Shortcuts, tags, tasks. We'll talk more about adding widgets in a moment. But I want you to look over here. We were in home mode, right? You want it to look like it kind of has looked in the past. Just click Notes over in the left-hand corner, left-hand navigation bar. And this is going to, I've got it set up for snippet view. This is probably one of the most popular ways to view the notes within Evernote. So see, I didn't lose my home. It's still up there at the top, but now I'm looking at it and it looks just like it used to look. So the left-hand side is your navigation bar. This is how we find and sort and click, add tags and notebooks and things. We'll talk about those in a minute. In the center, this is all the notes based on whatever I selected in the nav bar. That's kind of like my results. Think of it like Google search results. So on the right-hand side is whichever note I clicked, which has a blue line around it. Well, that's the selected note displayed. This is the one that I'm working on. That's it. That's the layout for kind of everyday usage of Evernote. So whenever we're trying to find stuff, we're using that nav bar on the left. And there's a search field. In the center column, we're finding the results of whatever it is we were looking for. And on the right-hand side, we are working on the note that we selected. Or maybe it's a new note that we're created. So this is Notes view. Okay, well, let's make a note, right? So start typing. It's really that simple. You just start typing and Evernote will save instantly as you go. So let's create a note, okay? we're going to come up here and click the new note. See here, note, and notice that there's some new stuff here. We're just going to focus on a note. And you can see the very first one at the top. That's the one I'm working on. It's untitled. I haven't typed anything yet, so I'm going to come over here to the note displayed and say, this is my first note. And I can say, add whatever you want to type. You can drag and drop pictures on there. You can do whatever. Here's a plus sign. You can insert all this stuff. It's so cool. And this looks a little different with this new version, but I think this is really nice and clean, and you can make audio recordings. You can scribble on it. You can make a table. Up at the top, you've got all the standard formatting types of things you might do in Word or some other program. Highlighting, font, bullets. Under More, we've got even more formatting. So that's our first note. Now let's say I pick another note in my list. Well, what happened to the one I just did? It's still at the top. I haven't changed my navigation at all. If I go to a different note, I could also come up to the search field and type in first note. Where's that first note? Well, there it is. It's going to find every note that has the words first and note. And starting with the most recent, the one I did just a few seconds ago, that's the first one in my results list. So just because you go and look at a different note or you do a different navigation, boy, that search field is your friend, because Evernote can pick up any of the words within the note and help you find it. It's really super fast. And you can also create a new note from the menu. So if you're one of those people who just really likes working with the upper menu, great. All the functionality that we find in other places with hotkeys and the nav bar, we can also do that through the menu. So File, New Note. So one of the top questions, if you've been using Evernote for a while, you're probably thinking, where is the I with the circle around it? That was my info button for each note. And that's what told me more of the information. Things like, what URL did this come from if I clipped it? That kind of thing. Well, it's changed just a little bit. I like to use the hotkeys. I think it's the fastest way to grab the information on whichever note is currently displayed as the one you're working on. So if you press Control, Shift, and I, and don't worry, all of this is typed up for you in the show notes. So this is episode 70. You go to genealogygems.com, go get the show notes. You can read through it, watch this, kind of get a feel for it. Go back to the show notes page. The video is embedded there, but you can kind of go through and follow along step by step. And if you're a premium member, you just go to the bottom of that page in the resources section, download the ad-free cheat sheet version of the show notes, because that's going to be really convenient. And it's searchable, which is nice. You can jump to whatever section you want to work on. Okay. So I did the Control-Shift-I. I can also, on any note, go and click the little three dots. That's called More Actions. That's what the name of that little icon is. And within that, there's a menu for Note Info. Either one is going to get you to this little info window. So it gives you the title, any tags you've attached to it, when was it created, when did you last update it. You can set the author. And look, it's got a URL for where I clipped it from. So this is kind of nice, basic source citation type information. You're probably going to want to add additional to the note itself. And you can even click View Note History to see each of the changes that's happened to the note in case it gets a little unwieldy or something terrible happens and you want to figure out what happened in the past, like I do. You can go back to the view history. Okay, so types of notes. What kind of notes are we typed notes, but there's a lot more than that. Okay, so we can create basically note documents, right? Type them up. We can take photographs. Let's say with our phone, we could take a picture and we could just send it to Evernote. It will show up when I get to my computer. It's going to be right there. I can drag and drop them off my file manager on my computer and put them in a note. So photos is great. You can sketch. You can use your mouse. If you have a special pencil that goes with your computer or your tablet, you can sketch stuff up, annotate your notes. I use Evernote all the time for audio recording. When I go to conferences, I'm talking with listeners and viewers, and I'm talking with them, and we're recording little snippets for our podcast. When I meet with my family, we do interviews and talk about the past and just record them. And it's just wonderful because you can do it on the fly, and it's with your phone or with a laptop that you've got with you. Video as well can be dragged and dropped into there. You can create video on your phone and send it over. You can create it on your computer. And attachments. You can attach whatever. Test it. Try it. PDFs, pictures, emails, whatever. You can attach all kinds of notes. So it covers all the bases. Okay, so you're making a lot of notes, but you're going to have to keep this stuff organized, right? That's my biggest challenge. It might be yours too. Tagging is the key, okay? It can be tempting to think about using notebooks and files and folders, and we're used to putting things in folders, but tagging is the magic sauce to Evernote. It's what makes it so powerful. It makes it so convenient in terms of your research. And tagging is really adding keywords. We think of keywords like specific words that are going to mean something. Think about your file cabinet. If you get a census record, there could be more than one family. There's certainly more than one person. And you end up very quickly struggling with, do I make 6 copies of this and then file it in all these different folders? Am I going to make 6 copies digitally and put it all over my computer? Gosh, that's taking a lot of space, right? Or a newspaper article that names several different people. So that can be a challenge. Now, my filing system, if you've ever watched past episodes of this show, or if you're a premium member, you have the video where I talked about how I do my filing system, which eliminates some of that. But when you're doing active research, and that's what I'm using Evernote for primarily, it's not archival. It's the projects I'm working on right now. I want a place to put this, and I don't want to make 6 copies of it and try to attach it to all these different people's or put them in file folders. So think of Evernote as one big pile of notes. This is what my desk used to look like. Maybe this is what your desk looks like. But in reality, you're making all different kinds of notes really quickly, and you're creating this pile. Evernote is like the magnet. Okay, and tags is the special magnetic force. You can ask for any combination of tags. You can search for any combination of words, and it can draw out of that pile instantly just the documents you need. So if you think about it, if I'm researching my great-grandfather, I have certain things I want to pull. Some of those documents also affect his wife and his kids, and it's nice to be able to pull out just the assortment that meets the needs of today's research, right? That same document may be pulled out again in a different combination with other documents for a related person. So it's just one note. You just need one note, and you can tag it all you want so that it can come to you in different combinations. I hope that makes sense. This is the power of Evernote, I think. So let's talk about tags. You'll find them in the navigation bar, okay? And one of the most common questions I get is, okay, what kind of tags should I be doing? Because tags gets really unwieldy really fast. All right, here's my formula. First and foremost, I create tags for surnames. I don't make notebooks for them necessarily. You could, and I'll show you an example, but I like making tags. So they're free. You just make as many tags as you need to by surname. And these are going to match up to my other system, my paper archiving and my digital archiving that we've talked about here on the show, because it's still the surnames. I'm also going to create tags for record types, okay? Because there'll be times I want all census records. I want all death records. I want all marriage records for this surname, right? So again, this kind of mirrors what I do in my computer digitization organization, and you'll find more of those videos in premium membership. This is really important because this is how we work in terms of genealogy. Also locations. But if you're watching this and you don't do genealogy, just think about how this applies. How is what you do structured, whether it's with your business or your home or whatever? It might be that you do recipes. You're a cook and you just want ingredients, right? You want to be able to say, I've got some chicken and I've got some leftover broccoli in my fridge. What could I make? I click those 2 tags and I get recipes that have those 2 ingredients. Make sense? Locations is another key thing for genealogy. And so I want to have things like counties, states, countries, those locations. So I can grab record types from surnames from certain types of locations. That's just an example. So down here at the bottom of the note now is where we're going to find tags. This used to be, and it depends on how you set up your view, but I've got it here at the bottom. And you just click and type in there and you can add as many that you want. Under more actions, that's those 3 little dots. You can also edit your tags. So that's a second way that you can do it. And here it's going to show you all the tags that you've set up. These come straight out of your nav bar. You can also search within them. And you can also find your tags up in the menu. So 3 different locations. Pretty hard to lose track of your tags. Your nav bar is the 4th. So the beauty of the search when you start to type in the name of the tag is it will tell you, oh, you've already got that. You already have that one, or you don't. So I find I'm not ending up with a bunch of duplicates or things that I don't need because you really want your tags to be consistent. So I try to keep them really short, 1 word if possible, which kind of eliminates the opportunity to make lots of duplicates that you don't need that are just repetitive, right? Does that make sense? So we don't want directory and directories. Kind of in your mind, get it thinking about a single word if I can, and let's make them all singular, or let's make them all plural. If you tend to have some of those basic guidelines in your mind, this is kind of how I do it, then you're going to find you're going to be pretty consistent on how you do that. But it's going to flag you. Hey, you started to write city, and we already have city directories, right? Another type of tag that I do is tasks. And interestingly, Evernote has just added tasks to the new version. However, the way I use them in tagging is a little different. So I'm still using them at this point. Tasks is, I've got this note, but I still have some stuff to do with it. And most of my genealogy tasks tend to be the same kind of tasks over and over. Things like, this needs to get entered into my database. I haven't extracted the information. This needs follow-up. Or I need to conduct an interview on this topic with this person. So whatever the task is, it might just be a simple task like pending. Just a little flag that says, hey, look, I haven't analyzed this yet. I didn't put it in my database. I grabbed it. We talked about making a task BSO, right? Bright, shiny objects. When I've got a time on a Saturday morning and I want to work on those little things that dropped into my lap that didn't really fit into what I was working on earlier in the week, I just click the BSO tag and I've got them all in front of me. Or if it's time to do database entry, I click my database entry tag. Ready? Let's get all that stuff in there, okay? Evernote tasks are a little different because they are more geared to having a to-do list kind of a thing, and they're note specific. So a note has you add a task to it, and that task is unique to that note. The way I'm using tags with tasks is a way to get all of one type of task, all the notes that need that kind of work, right? All the notes that need follow-up, all the notes that need database entry, that kind of thing. With Evernote tasks, you can add deadlines. You can assign that note as a task to different people. So right now, the way I'm looking at it is that the way I'm using my task tag is for global. It's for sit down and I want to work with all kinds of notes that have that need, versus using my Evernote tasks, which is helping me be really specific within a unique note what it is I want to do with it. Okay, so I'm still kind of playing with this. Let me show you where this is. Evernote's new task feature is in the nav bar, and it's just below notes and just above notebooks. And you'll notice that it turns, when you click it, it makes the center column your tasks. So it's kind of created a to-do list for you, hasn't it? It's put up at the top, okay, well, here's all these different notes I have and the things that need to be done to them specifically. Any of these notes could still have one of my global type tags on it, right? So if I click database entry, I might get some of these notes. But within these individual notes, they also have some very unique things that are happening. So I think this task feature with Evernote is going to be really handy the more we explore it and use it to help us really be able to pick up and put down our research at a moment's notice and feel like we didn't lose our place, right? And yet my task tag is still giving us the opportunity to, when kind of sit down and deal with all notes that have this one need. So you can search within the tasks. Up at the top, I put in database entry, and it shows me 2 notes that have database entry. Leave a comment. I'd be really interested to know if you're using the new task feature in Evernote and how you're using it. If you have created a task type of tag before and what you're seeing the difference. Are you finding that the new task feature really takes care of that for you? I'm not convinced yet. I'm really still liking my pending type tags and things that I've added, but I'm definitely still playing with this task feature. So I'd love to hear what you think about it. Now, right there, we've made notes. What happens? We might delete a note here and there. Where do they go? What if I need to retrieve a note? One of the biggest questions I get is, where in the world is the trash? So the trash is at the very bottom of the nav bar, and you click trash, and then you can retrieve a deleted note and reinstate it. Okay, so organizational tips. You saw that there's notebooks. That sounds really tempting to start filing things in notebooks. But here's my philosophy on notebooks. Create them for long-term and collaborative research projects. I use them sparingly. And when I interviewed the vice president of Evernote, when they first came out in 2007, he said, one of the only reasons we created notebooks was because people insisted that they wouldn't use it if there weren't some place to file things. He said, but it's really all about tagging. That's the power of retrieval. The search box, the OCR, and the tagging. However, I think there is a value to creating sparingly some general notebooks to kind of help divvy up Evernote, because the beauty of Evernote is it's not just for genealogy. I use it for all areas of my life, but I don't want to look at all of it every time I'm just focusing on genealogy, if that makes sense. So I think of them as like big picture notebooks or big containers, right? So I've got genealogy. That's the notebook. And then everything within there, I know if I click that, I'm just looking at genealogy related notes. But I've got my work, my business stuff. And then I have personal. You could go even a little further. You could say just recipes, or just stuff for the grandkids, or my hobbies. So think of it as big container dividing up of your Evernote so that you can just focus in one area. So over here in the nav bar, under notebooks, click notebooks, and you'll see I've got a genealogy, I've got general, I've got music, because I have a ton of stuff in the music stuff, grandkids. You can do another layer. So I put together some surname notebooks. There might be some of you who really want to have a surname notebook because maybe there's so much for that surname. You didn't want it just to tag. You wanted to be able to click that notebook, only have notes that pertain to that family, and then tag within there. You can totally do that, okay? There's no Evernote police. So if I click Cooke as my notebook within the notebook of genealogy, well, then you can see that now everything in the center column, the results are all my Cooke notes. Terrific. You can also create new notebooks. An easy way to do that is right through the menu, File, New Notebook. So file tends to be where we kind of make stuff. And then you can give it a name. You can always delete them later if you want to, and it's not going to delete all your notes. It's just the container, okay? So here we've got genealogy, I'm going to toss my phone on the floor. It's beeping like crazy at live show. Okay, so genealogy, creating notebooks. I'm going to click on genealogy, and I have 28 notebooks total in here. I'm stacking a layer of surnames to show you what that looks like. Notebooks can be stacked, but only one layer. So you're not going to be able to make notebooks within the surname. And again, they're trying to get you to resist that need to file. Well, what happens when we do that? We feel like we lose it. That happens in our physical file drawers, doesn't it? Oh my gosh, I have this huge cabinet over here, and I can tell you there's probably some stuff in there. I don't know how to find it. It's layers, it's folders within hanging files, within other hanging. Oh. So they're trying to keep this contained to a minimum, and then use your tagging, use your search feature. Let's go back to home for a second, because that is kind of a cool new feature, and there are some widgets. Remember when we did customize? We clicked the customize button in the upper right hand corner, and we had some of this stuff on the bottom. You can drag and drop these over onto your home and kind of have some fun organizing what this home page looks like and make sure that it fits your needs. If I want filtered notes, which I think this is one of the newest widgets, and it's really cool because when I'm working on a genealogy research plan, I tend to be doing the same kinds of searches a lot, in a given week, and it's going to speed things up if I just kind of can filter them all at once with one click. So here I can set up filters. I can put in this keyword with every note with this tag within this notebook. See, there's all these different layers, and click done. And then with one click, I can retrieve notes that meet this criteria. So for my current Larson research, I want all the stuff that mentions the word senator but has a Larson tag. I didn't specify notebook, but I could. And you can edit the widgets. You can move them around. You can click those three little dots and you can change elements of them. You can remove it, put it back into the customize. So lots of fun that you can have there. Another way that you can make it look a little different, and maybe your Evernote is looking a little different than what I'm showing you. Well, remember I said when I'm looking at all my notes, and here I am in notes mode. I'm not looking at the home page. I'm looking at notes, and I'm in snippet view. So play with this. Take a couple minutes after you're done watching this and click the little list view and play with them. See which one kind of fits your needs. I tend to like that column thing, but some people like to read top to bottom. So you can change up how it's presented to you so that it fits your needs. Just play with that. It's always reversible. You can always go back to the way you had it. Now, we said that they're going to be synchronizing these notes you're creating because you're working with a cloud-based service. How do you know that the stuff is synchronized? Well, in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, like here's your taskbar. One, if I've got Evernote open, I can see the little elephant, and it's synchronizing in the background all the time. It's open, and I'm adding stuff to it, and it'll even say, hey, synchronization, it's good, it's saved, it's complete. So you don't have to worry about that it's syncing in the background. If you're having a hard time, though, finding stuff, and I said that was probably the most important thing. It's one thing to make notes, but if you can't find them, what good are they to you, right? Are they buried on your computer? Well, every note in Evernote is just one little search away. I think of the search feature in Evernote as kind of like Google search. It's like Google for your notes. It's not Google, but it really has the same kind of power. And that's often because they have this OCR. Now, OCR is a subscription feature. So if you're just using the free version, it's not doing OCR. If you get the personal, then it'll work. Okay? This is perfect for old newspapers, and that's how I got into it. So let me show you an example here. If I come up to the search field and I type in a name, it found the name. And there was only one note in all my notes that had that exact name. Here I'm putting in CJ Larson dies. And look, it found that text, but in an image. I clipped this image. This is just a picture, like a JPEG. This is not typed. So it applied OCR and it sees C.J. Larson dies in the title of my article. So let's say I go to the Cooke folder in the notebook here and I type in Isaac Burkett. No notes, right? Or Buckhart. But if I go to the genealogy notebook and then I type in that name, there it is. So notice that the note at the top will tell you which notebook this is in. This is actually a really good reason why notebooks are tricky and why I keep them to a minimum. OCR is fantastic. It's going to be able to find your words in any pictures and any text, but you have to go check over in the nav bar what you actually are in. If I've clicked genealogy and I start looking for recipes, it's going to look like all my recipes have disappeared. But I'd have to go to my recipes notebook. So whatever notebook you're in is what you're searching within. And that's really important because all of us who've used Evernote at some point have had a panic attack that we thought we lost all our notes. And here's the key. The way to take a deep breath, go back to the nav bar and click Notes, All Notes, or click the Genealogy Notebook, and then try it again. Okay? That's one of the best things I can tell you to help save headache. OCR is fantastic. It's so powerful. Just make sure you're searching in the right place. Okay? Now, if you have an older version and you're not upgrading yet, you can synchronize because it wasn't syncing as fast. So sometimes OCR doesn't get applied because it hasn't synced yet. And it's got to go through that process of kind of going up to the cloud to get the OCR pixie dust on it so it can come back down and work with OCR. However, with the new version, which has the home and all that what I'm showing you today, the sync is on demand. So sync on demand is not available. There's no button to go and click. And that's because you don't need to. It's happening automatically, which I think is kind of nice. I was a little irritated that I'd put a note in there. I'd go to search for it and it hadn't synced yet. So it wasn't showing up with OCR. Well, that's not very good when you're paying for it. So it's happening automatically. And you can tell because in the bottom right corner of your screen, it'll say saving. All changes saved, saving, all changes saved. And that way you know, okay, it's working. And if you don't see that happening, you might go check your internet connection. It'll still hold stuff on your computer that you're working on until such time as you are reconnected to the internet. So just be aware of that. And because we covered one of my favorite clippers of all time a couple of episodes ago, Snagit, I want to make you aware that absolutely these can work in tandem. And that's how I use them. Evernote's web clipper is great, but it cannot do everything that Snagit can do. And not surprising because clipping is all that Snagit does. I mean, that's what it's all about. So there are more bells and whistles than you can ever use. I can't recommend it enough. You can watch my episode 66 to have a chance to see what this baby can do. If you're using it, you can automatically send your clippings to Evernote if you'd like. So under Share, you'll see Evernote is listed there, particularly if you have it on your computer. You can also set it up to include Evernote if you don't see it there. Send to Evernote, boom, it's there. You can also just do clipboard. Just click clipboard for this note and go paste it. Same thing, it'll work. But I really like being able to just automatically send it over to Evernote. Really, really nice. And again, under Share, clipboard. So at worst case, if you don't see Evernote's in there, you haven't installed it yet or whatever, you can always copy stuff out of Snagit and paste it into anywhere, including Evernote. So here it is. Notice that when I do the send to version, it says image from Snagit and the date. That's a benefit because if I just do copy and paste, look at the second note. It just has untitled, no information about where it came from. So the send it actually helps you create that little bit of breadcrumb trail so you know where stuff came from and when it happened. And you can see that I have put it in my Evernote notebook. Awesome. And web clipping, we got to talk about that. Remember we talked about installing the web clipper on your browser. If I go to Family Search, I might find something that I'd like to clip. So I'm going to do a search here for Conover Burkett. And got some records. Maybe I'm looking for a marriage record. Here's one. I'm going to click the image. I really want to see what this record looks like, the original record. Now, you could download this record, but maybe I'm not so sure that this is the right person yet. And I don't really have time for it now. So I don't want to archive it into my digital files on my computer. I want to take this into Evernote so I can work with it later. So here's my little elephant up in the taskbar of my browser. And if you click it, as you see this, all it means is, hey, it needs to know what your account is so it can send it to the right account. Just sign in with the same account that you've done on all your devices. Now when I click it, I can do a screenshot. And I use screenshot to do precision clicking. So it's not going to just do the whole page. I can just take a section. And so often that's all we want when we're looking at something like this. There are 4 different marriage records on that record. I don't need all 4 of them. I just need this one. And because I'm not yet ready to work on it, I want to make a few annotations. All the annotation tools are right in the web clipper. That is super convenient. So I'm going to highlight a few things, just some things to kind of flag myself, what I'm looking for, what my questions are. I can type words on here if I want to. I can put an arrow and say, who's this guy? I haven't looked him up yet. I saw his name on somebody else's record, whatever it is. And I can put some text. So we can just click on here in a blank space and say, hey, look him up. Okay, so really nice. I can capture this and save it for later. I can tag it, which I absolutely will do. Put it in my genealogy notebook. I can select which notebook, whether it's work or personal or genealogy. I'm going to put that surname tag on there and click save. It automatically goes to Evernote. I don't have to go look at the software. The clipper in my web browser sent it there, just like Snagit was sending it there. Super nice. And up here's the old version. If I want to look at it right away and be able to OCR it right away, I would click sync. But with the new version, you don't have to do that. So the web clipper is really nice, particularly in something like this that shows in a viewer and it's got all this stuff. I can come back and I can copy that a little more source information that's on that web page. Just do Control-C on my keyboard. And I'm going to come back here and paste it. Paste it right into the note. So it brought, the URL, it's got the date I did it, that kind of stuff. Here's the URL. It tells you exactly which page I got it from. You gotta love that. So that saves you a little bit of time, but I can also copy and paste source citation from the website. I can add in as much as I want. So get the web browser clipper. And again, if you just Google it, Evernote web clipper, it'll pop up. You can do it here from their website. You can do it from your web store. I like just taking it off the website. That's fine too. Get the web clipper. It'll know which browser you're in, so it'll give you the right one. And it will put it up here in the browser. And I have a lot of resources for you. If you really want to learn more about using Evernote, Premium membership has 6 different videos in there. We're going to be updating Evernote for genealogy beginning with this video. So within about a week or so, well, I'm not sure when it's going to happen, but very soon this video will go into the Premium archive exclusively there. And so if you have friends who haven't seen this yet, be sure and tell them to come and watch it. That's going to be updated. And then we have lots of other videos to help you organize, create research plans, projects that you can do, how you can collaborate with other researchers using Evernote. Lots of great resources in Premium membership. And you can do that at genealogygems.com. Whoop. All right, let's go back to me here. There's chat. And Bill has brought in a couple of your questions. Let's see here. Why use Snagit versus the web clipper? The number one reason I would use Snagit would be because it has so many more features than Evernote's Clipper does. Evernote's is really good for quick clip, grab it, but it's not going to be able to cut out sections. It's not going to be able to merge things. So I showed you a lot of different ways we merged newspaper articles that were really long, that you can show step by steps, that you can create like a research plan or highlight a photograph. So many more things that you can do. So for me, knowing that I want to do some of those more, extended types of projects within my clipping, it's a beautiful addition to using Evernote. And the nice thing about Snagit is it's a one-time purchase and then you own it and you can use it. Evernote is a commitment in terms of having a subscription. So I'm not having to sign up for 2 subscriptions, which I think is really great. And I use Snagit for everything, even well beyond just genealogy. So it's a much more sophisticated clipper. And the new version for each device. Okay, so I haven't played with it too much on my phone. Number one reason, I don't do a lot of research on my phone. I find that small screen small. But just remember that home is really about organizing this big screen, this big desktop that you have, right? And making it look like a kind of a home space where you can kind of get an overview. And your phone is much smaller. It's not going to have home. However, it's going to have the same types of features. You can make all the same kinds of notes. You can do all the tagging. You can do all that stuff. It works a little different, and we will probably do a video here just working within the mobile device so you can kind of see that. In fact, in a past episode, we had one of our viewers ask a really good question about doing tagging in mobile, and I showed you that step by step. So I'll find that video and put a link to that in our show notes. So getting the new version, you could check and just make sure that you've got your app updated. When you have the app on your mobile device, you can go into your app store and it'll say update if it needs to be updated, and just click that and it should update it for you. Gosh, we're almost at an hour, but let me look really quick. Maybe a dumb question. What's the difference between using Evernote and creating a really good system of folders and directories? It is not a dumb question, Martha. Barbara asked me a similar question in comments last week. I'm sure other people have it. And that's what I think next week's video is going to be all about, the data flow. How does this fit into the other systems we've talked about? I use all of them, and I can lay out for you kind of what the framework is so that you don't even have to think about it. You know, if it's this type of thing, I look here. If it's this type of thing, I look here. Really quickly, I mentioned that my binders, my computer files in my folder system, those I think of as archival. I've extracted the data. I've analyzed them. I've decided this is the person, and I'm saving it. Evernote is more of an active workspace. So I'll leave it at that, but we're going to jump into the data flow because I think this is going to be critical, and that's going to be a very special episode next week. My gosh, you guys are great. I know that my videos probably go longer than anybody's on YouTube, but there's a lot to cover, and don't feel like you have to understand or absorb it all in one big fire hose hour with me. Go to the show notes, check them out. That's what they're there for you. You can watch this video again. You can, if you're a premium member, download the cheat sheet. And later today, I'm going to come back and add chapters to the YouTube video so that you're going to be able to jump to whatever section of this video you want to come back and revisit. And the way you find the chapters is in the video description here on YouTube. I'll have them listed there. You also might notice the little bars across the bottom of the screen, and those will jump you to different chapters. So much to do. Have a wonderful week with all the folks that you love, alive and not, in your family history and in your home today. You're part of my family, and I love you guys. I will look forward to talking to you next week. Thanks for joining me.